Hey guys, welcome back to Kharak Cup number 6. We're gonna move into the quarterfinals now today. I'm sorry about that, by the way. Now, I don't know what gods Shrike managed to offend, but they've decided that he is going to be up against Descara in the quarterfinals. Oh, actually, I do know exactly which ones. It's the ones that looked at his seed number, saw it was 8, look at Descara's, saw it was 1, and said, okay, they're together. But anyway, that does mean it's going to be Shrike's map pick for the first map here. It's going to pick Kalash Teeth. And we'll see what he's able to do, but I gotta predict this series is gonna go 2-0 to Descara. Don't really see anything else happening right here. These games might not be the most exciting, but you know, still, it's always kind of fun to see what players like Shrike are gonna try to pull against Descara. I wish, you know what I wish people would do? Is when they're against an opponent who they really don't think they can beat, just like, try something freaking weird and random, you know what I mean? I know that kind of sounds like I just want them to sacrifice their game for our viewing pleasure, but it's not like that, actually. When you're playing against someone who you really think is going to beat you, going for something unexpected, something a little bit more random is actually generally a good move. You can kind of throw them off and see if you can beat them. Also, I know I've made comments before saying it's odd to go for Sport Cruiser before you make salvagers on the long distance, but that's exactly what Descara is doing, so maybe I should rethink this. I'm sure he'll post in the comments his thoughts on that, but going for LAV fabrication as well is Descara. A little bit, well, not a little bit slower, quite a bit slower than Shrike here, but I don't know. The timing of this seems a little interesting to me because I think only one salvager is going to be out by the time that LAV fabrication is finished. Actually, it looks like there's time for 2 of them. How long does it take to make a salvager? I don't even know. I don't even know. I think it's like 8 seconds for Galzian. I don't know about Coalition. I don't know, man. But anyway, he's making 2 of them. You see moving his carrier out here. He's definitely going to try to plop his carrier down onto this wreck over here instead of a second base that way, and I assume then he's going to go for some other kind of tech. Probably AAVs, we'll have to see. Now that is going to counter Shrike's initial base runner turret attempt here. Fortunately for him, he is going to see that before the carrier gets there, or sorry, before he puts down his turret, so he's not going to waste the resources for that. And he should just be backing away straight. Yeah, he is actually. The reason it didn't look like is because the base runner, of course, has to kind of, you know, turn itself around there. Not everyone can be Galvazian, I guess. It's going to be AAV fabrication from Descara. AAV fabrication a little bit faster from Shrike, and now I'm understanding why he said that in the comments to one of the videos. Or no, where was it? It was on Discord. He made a clip of like me saying like no one can get AAVs out faster than Descara, and then he was like, oh yeah, really? But Descara's not AAV rushing, of course, so that's a little bit different. Still though, I appreciate it. Shrike going to be a little bit slower to the second base here, and now Descara just looks like a god, and I should never question him ever. Shrike going to pick up an artifact right over here. Descara looking also to pick that one up. Does he not have the art? Oh, that's odd. Oh no, Shrike, my boy, you didn't pick it up. Oh. Okay, that line was clearly yellow though, so if you have the yellow line, see that, like, it means that you're going to pick up something, you're going to do some kind of special action. It means that the ability is on the way. And Shrike's base runner, the line was yellow. Oh man, I don't know. Descara is hacking, that's clearly what's going on here. It's the only way he could ever get an advantage against someone like Shrike, am I right? He's going to go for fighter and gunship fabrication, so going to go for some air. Carrier production upgrade on the way as well. And poor Shrike, man, he really doesn't deserve this. But because the AAV is out here now, it's going to deny that artifact extraction also. I would very much feel robbed if I were him. What he can do now is smoke up the base runner and try to run out that way. Oh, Shrike, you gotta do that. He's going to smoke and try to extract, but that's not going to work. He could try to put down a turret now. No, he can't. Actually, it's just going to die. Now it's a 2-on-1 little AAV fight here, though of course that'll take a millennium to finish. Descara hasn't got time for. No, he does. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have time for that. So he's just gonna run straight into the eco. Meanwhile, Shrike's AAV is gonna find the base runner right here. That's pretty nice. Should be able to kill that thing as well. But Shrike is gonna have some problems with his eco over there. He needs to send these AAVs, I think, straight over there as fast as he recognizes it. Right now, they're currently just going to the rally point. He did see those AAVs running by, but he may not have noticed it. Oh dear. Okay, they're moving. They're headed over there. Probably going to be a couple of salvager kills though at the least. Probably not going to be a support cruiser kill here. Oh, Descara's going to try for it. And I think this is good for Shrike. Oh, this guy needs to be headed over here. This guy needs to be headed over here. These two as well, I think. Because what you need to do in order to keep the support cruiser alive, it's not good enough to have more numbers even. You have to be able to smoke it so long that your AVs can kill the opponents, which of course takes like an eon. He is going to be in his opponent's base though, and that's nice. But there are air units on the field now, and they're taking out these AAVs, which are coming in for some harassment. In fact, not even going to get the base burns. That's a nice pickup for Descara over there. He's also doing massive eco damage over here, as he is going to actually kill the support cruiser. And the strike fighter should take out this one, I think. Oh, there's a turret up and everything, so he doesn't even need that. Where are they going to go instead? They're just going to secure the kill on that support cruiser. He doesn't even need to do that with the strike fighter, to be honest, but that's a good strat. Oh yeah, Shrike just knows he's out of it. He's just going to GG right now. I can't say I blame him, honestly. I mean, at that point, it kind of seems like, oh dear, I'm really getting smashed here, aren't I? So, what you need to remember about AAV versus AAV is that they take like 5 hours to kill each other, and so you need to get them in your eco if your opponent is going to go to your eco. If you're in his eco first, it doesn't matter because you're doing the damage first, right? But you also need to have a unit that can take them out. Descara used strike fighters for that. Shrike could have used railguns, etc. So yeah, Descara going to take a nice little win right there. Let me just load in the replay for map number 2 now, real quick. Alright, got that in there. And that's going to be on the shallows. This one is Descara's pick. He really likes this map. Like I was saying earlier, I think most people like this map. It's a good map. I kind of tend to try not to play on it because I don't like the... I'm not really as good at macro games myself. I prefer low unit numbered games. I prefer like kind of microing with very few units, trying to get like a massive eco advantage, and then I'll go to macro. But I don't really like just playing straight macro with people. And so this map, where it's very easy to defend, tends to be one that I kind of try to stay away from. But it's still a very good map, and I do enjoy playing it. Descara seems to pick this one a lot though, and I think part of the reason he would pick it against Shrike here is just because he wants to practice, really. Just wants to, you know, get practice on this map so when it shows up against a better opponent, he's going to be okay. And I don't mean to be, you know, like rude or anything to Shrike here. We're obviously very glad for anyone who plays in the tournaments. We don't really mean to discourage them from doing that, but I think it should be obvious to everyone that Descara is the how do you say? He's like the favorite player in this scenario. Doesn't say anything against Shrike, just means that Descara is Swedish, so you know, what are you gonna do? What are the builds looking like here? Still no LAV fabrication from either player. Shrike going up to a very early support cruiser, I noticed. Is Descara gonna do the same? Yeah, he is. And look at that, Shrike is faster. Okay, I take it back, Shrike. You know what you're doing. This is of course because Descara went for 2 LAVs first. Oh my gosh, I don't know. Someone who knows these things, please explain to me, like, when do you want to go for salvagers first, and when do you want to go for the support cruiser first? Because we saw in the Discord a while ago, I can't remember who it was, but he was like, you should always just go for the support cruiser immediately, don't make any salvagers, and then a bunch of people jumped on it like, this is actually not necessarily true, you get more resources if you go for the salvagers first. And sometimes I see people do one, sometimes I see him do the... Look, Descara just came online, he's watching me. Sometimes I see him do the one, sometimes I see him do the other. I never know, like, which one... Never know which one is better. I'm just a pleb, man. There's no way to hide it. Both support cruisers are going to come out here. I gotta say, Shrike's micro is slightly better there. His carrier will be down on the bottom faster. So, clearly the better player. Descara, what does he know? Let's see. So, Shrike going to be filling out his resource line now. Got LAV fabrication much faster than Descara did. Ooh, going for AVs faster as well, it looks like. And that one's important on this map because you get the production upgrade and it's cheaper than railgun fabrication, so that's what you would do to get the fastest economy timing for Coalition, as well as the fact that AVs are just pretty darn good units, aren't they? Look at Descara's positioning here on his carrier. He's going to have to long distance mine from here just a little bit, but I guess he thinks that it's worth it for like the reduced long distance mining time over from that location there. And I suppose I'm thinking about this, like, I think that if you're dealing with 2 locations, it doesn't matter how close you are to one or the other, so long as the number of salvagers on each one is equal. Like, this one has 6 salvaging locations, but if it only had 4, putting your carrier there would be the same as having it here. It would be the same as having it here, wouldn't it? I think that's just geometry or something. Do you like how the probe is, you know, flying in the air and all that? and yet it still has less vision than the LAV. I think that's kind of funny. It's like Scouts in Age of Empires. I remember, like, I played it a lot as a kid, you know, and then I picked it up again much later on, and I was like, the Scout can see nothing. Why is he so blind? Of course, he sees exactly what he needs to see, but I don't know, I always just thought it was funny how low his vision is. I just kind of get the feeling like when there's a scouting unit, it should have a lot of vision, but then, you know, when I think about it a lot longer, I realize, oh yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense. This LAV just kind of trying to tickle the space run here, but, you know, what's he going to do? Not too much. I know he's tickling him with, like, you know, high velocity projectiles, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't really hurt too much. Space runner's got a whole lot of metal on it. I like to imagine the only thing the LAV can really do to it is, like, pop all the tires, and then, like, now that the base runner can't move, just, like, drive in front of him and shoot into the windows. That takes a long time, you know. These are pretty thick tires right here. You're not going to pop that in a day. Second support cruiser's finished for Descara. He seems to just be ahead in the macro game here. Shrike has some railguns early on, but he's going to play defensive with them. And I think based on the fact that he has the scouting information that Descara is not going for anything in particular, that's probably a mistake. Because these only represent a good defense if there is actually an offense to counter, otherwise they just represent wasted resources. Is he making a support cruiser here? Doesn't look like it. Correction tab is bugged, of course. He is also making anti-air. Ooh. And once again, anti-air is only useful if there is actually air on the field. Descara as well, I'd like to point out. Oh, look at that, he actually got killed by railguns there. I take it back, they were totally worth it. But, Descara has gone full macro, like, I'm talking full macro, this is crazy. Just because he knows, you know, there's nothing coming across the field here, I'm not really worried about it. He even went railgun fabrication first. And I mean, making missile batteries is very passive, you know. It's gonna snipe the probes quite nicely, but it's not worth it to get that just to snipe probes, really. Maybe in the very late game when it comes to like a rail-on-rail war, if you don't want to your opponent to have vision and you don't, you know what I mean? Which is actually a big factor, I suppose, but it rarely comes down to that. Just getting missile battery fabrication when there's no sign that there's air tech on the way just seems like an overreaction to game 1 of the series where, you know, air kind of killed him there in the end. So, not a big fan of that move right there, but that's alright. I do like how he's getting his upgrades. He's getting mag accelerator, I like all that stuff. Good mortar battery there as well. Mortar battery? It's just called a mortar from the missile battery. Whatever. But what he really needs here is a support cruiser. I think that should be abundantly obvious. He will just get out macroed. You know, he's got 6 railguns to 4 here, but it's gonna start swaying in Descara's favor here, based on the fact that Descara can triple produce and Shrike can't off of 2 bases. So Descara probably ought to get this upgrade right here, but he doesn't even really need to, I don't think, at this point. There are AAVs here along with the railguns, so the advantage, of course, of going on to less bases is that your army is bigger. And Descara may discover this if he engages at this moment. Although these 2 railguns actually still back on the defense, so that's not even going to be true, really. Railguns start coming into range here. And it looks like he's losing this railgun war pretty heavily. There's even a turret being set up from Descara. The reason there would have to be, I think, that the LAVs got the vision on the railguns before the railguns got the vision on the opponent railguns, and so they had to take some time to retarget. And that time is really all it takes to get a numbers advantage in the railgun fight. And also, you can, you know, just look at the fact that there's 5 railguns now on the field and 9 on the field for Descara, and say who's going to win if this fight continues. Probably going to have to give that one to Descara. He's even on high ground here. This is brutal. Listen to the echo of that turret. That was beautiful. Wait a second. I said earlier that... Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I said earlier that it was Shrike who was saying, I bet I can get a faster AAV timing than Descara. No, that was actually Maze. So, I was wrong. Inaccuracies, man. I'm just worthless as a caster. I should really just give up. Look at that. Descara not even getting the production upgrade. Who needs that? Just make a bunch of railguns. And at this point, this is really kind of looking like he's ready to just roll the game. I actually like how Shrike is taking a position up here on the high ground, but I don't think it's going to matter. I hear that turret chewing away. That's not going to matter too much though, but the railguns are able to fire. No, they actually lost line of sight. Or vision, that is. Oh man, look at that mortar. That was actually crazy. Probably shouldn't be allowed to fire another one. I'd like to see Descara. Yep, he's going to target. Could do. You're done. But that mortar did a lot of damage. In case you didn't know, mortars, for some unexplained reason, actually take advantage of high ground. So it did high ground damage against those railguns, which is so weird, but it happened. Still 6 railguns up here in the front, 5 I can count, in the front line, doing their damage. It's starting to hit this carrier really hard. It's at about 2/3 health. And Descara is showing no signs that he is slowing the railgun fabrication. Indeed, he is getting power reserves and assault cruiser fabrication just in case he needed more tech options. Gonna just run in there and roll over Shrike, I would assume. Even salvager damage being done by 2 AAVs right here. Look at this. Look at this! Do not proceed to rally point, my friends. Oh man, the echo on that turret. It makes me think of Dark Souls. That sound. Doesn't that sound like it's from Dark Souls? Oh, but it's so good. Too bad I hate turrets, but anyway. You know, with time, I've started to kind of get over my hatred of playing against the Coalition faction. I still would agree that they're kind of overpowered in some ways, but I've kind of gotten over it. I've just started playing different ways against them, found myself actually doing pretty well. Still a huge fan of A-Game's balance patch here, but I'm having more and more fun playing vanilla as time goes on, which is kind of interesting. Not sure if Shrike was killed or if he GG'd out right there, but that is going to be the game that is going to be the series. Look how many railguns that is. How many railguns is that? 16. Oh. Yeah, Descara definitely taking a fairly easy win there in the quarterfinals. No problem to Shrike, certainly not his fault. Descara is kind of high caliber, but that is going to be how the series ends. We'll just move on to the next one. We got time. I'm on a roll. I'm going for it.